Ramacharya Shihaya Sakati, Vemski Hosh Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shivaji Radha Shivasadi Gopalaki, Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shankar Radha Kanti Godanki, Dara Mata Radanki, Maya Punara Kutanya, Anamaya Jamana Maiki, Tulsi Devki, Sambir Bhakti, Dwarkanandi, all glories to the Assembly, all glories to the Assembly, all glories to the Assembly, all glories to Shri Guru and the Brahma. Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 8. Aham sarasya prabhava matta sarvam bhavartate iti matta vajante mam buddha bhava samanditaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Mukam karati vachalam vangam mantaketi yakpantam vande Sri Guru Saranam. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmeditam Yena Tasama Shri Gurave Namaha. So in Bhagavad Gita, there are many things that we learn. They're called principles, the beliefs or ways that we base our life. If we believe this, then we will base our life in this way. Just like in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that you are not this body, you are spirit soul. And then he gives an instruction. If you actually believe you're not this body, you are a spiritual being, how will you behave? So right in the beginning, Krishna says, therefore you should tolerate. Because things are going to be difficult in this world. And you're a spiritual being, so you need to be able to tolerate. So this verse, there's also a principle. The principle is that everything comes from Krishna. So if everything comes from Krishna and he's the creator of everything, then that means that everything is him, then everything belongs to him. Whatever we see in this world is his. So everything is his, that means how should we behave? We should take the things of this world and we should use them for his service. So the behavior is given in the second part. The first part of the verse tells the principle. Krishna is the creator of everything. Everything comes from Krishna. Second part of the verse tells how you should behave if you know this and you believe this, that Krishna, everything is coming from Krishna. So how should you behave? The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service, worship me with all their hearts. So if you actually believe that, you will be a devotee. You will engage everything in Krishna's service and worship him with your heart. Buddha and Bhava, with intelligence, and with Bhava, with emotions, with love. Two things are required. So how to worship Krishna? We were worshiping Krishna today by kirtan. Very nice kirtan. Later, or before this, in the last chapter, Krishna was saying that Satatam Kirtyantamam, always chant my names. So today's kirtan night. That's a way to worship Krishna. Tonight we worship him with our singing, with our chanting. That's how we worship him. And that's how we worship the Panchatattva. In this age of Kali, intelligent persons will worship the Supreme Lord by engaging in Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So tomorrow's lecture will be about the mad mind, its friend or enemy. I was told to switch lectures. Today will be about the best sacrifice because it's Harinam night, and the best sacrifice is chanting the holy name, of course. But we will analyze sacrifice and see what we can offer. What is it we can actually offer to the Lord to please him? So, what we have a mad mind is we'll hear about this again tomorrow. We have a mad mind. Then, what do we do about the mad mind? What is the prescription? What does the doctor say about the mad mind? What is the antidote for a mad mind is the chanting. That's how you can control your mad mind. And there's a certain diet also, and that's prasadam. So, yes, so the restaurant is downstairs in case you want to try that one out. We can try the prescription, the diet. The diet, we have the prescription up here, and the diet is downstairs in the restaurant, if anybody's curious about the diet. So what are the ingredients for sacrifice? Krishna says in Gita, Patyam Pushpam Phalam Toyam, a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water. And so whatever we see in this world, this is all a part of his universal form, his body. And so what we're meant to do is take the things from the Lord's universal form and purify everything and offer them in sacrifice and take those as the mercy of the Lord. So every herb, every tree, every plant, every weed has a purpose to fulfill in the service of the Lord. When you have a Krishna conscious king like Maharaj Yudhisthira, then everything is provided. The earth provides everything. He gave all the fruits, the vegetables. The cow was giving his milk, ahimsa milk of course. And the rivers, the oceans, the hills, the mountains, the forests, the creepers were also paying taxes to the king. Not only the people were paying taxes, the hills were giving minerals. The trees were giving fruits and flowers. And even they paid their taxes because they were also citizens. The king had the duty to protect all the citizens, not just the human being citizens. The tree citizens, the animal citizens, they were all protected by the Krishna conscious king. So even the weeds have a purpose. The Ayurvedic doctors know what is the purpose of all the different herbs and plants. Prabhupada gives an example in 1932 when he had a severe toothache. He went to so many dentists and nobody could cure him. And so finally his servant took him out to the village. And they saw a village Ayurvedic doctor. And that doctor went into the jungle and brought some weeds back, some herbs. And he put the weeds to Prabhupada's mouth and all the germs came out and his toothache was cured. And so every plant has a purpose to fulfill. Just like in our body, all of the hands have a purpose, the mouth has a purpose, all the different parts have a purpose to serve the whole body so that you keep in health. So the universal form, this universe is also a form of the Lord. And every part has a purpose to fulfill to keep the health of the whole body. So just like we have different cells in our body, and they help by being healthy, then they help us, the body, whole body, to be healthy. So we are like cells in the body of the Lord, and we're meant to serve the Lord, and so the whole body can be healthy. So the river, for example, what is the function of the river? The river is supposed to give us water to drink. Of course, now all the rivers are polluted, so I don't know if they can give water or not, but previously, a few hundred years ago, the rivers were not polluted, and you could get good drinking water from the rivers. And so then, in summertime, the water's evaporated, and then in rainy season it comes down to the tops of the mountains, and then it comes down in rivers. So we get, according to nature, our needs are provided. So how can nature be controlled? Very interesting way to control nature. Sri Prabhupada says, the way to control nature and to protect yourself is by chanting Hare Krishna, which is what we were doing today. And he gave the example in Calcutta in 1898, that's over 100 years ago. There was a plague, a very bad disease, and everybody was dying. And so they started a Harinam party, and they went door to door, and they were chanting the holy names. And the plague was stopped by this Harinam Sankirtan. So very interesting experiment. Of course, we don't want to use the holy name for material purposes, but still, it's very, very potent and very, very powerful. Srila Prabhupada is our spiritual master, and his spiritual master had some temples, and inside the temples lived some brahmacharis. And he didn't send them to the doctor. He said, you just have to sit and chant, and that will cure your disease. Very interesting cure. You can try it sometime also. But actually better to chant without offense. And permanently cure your material disease. And go back to the spiritual world, get a spiritual body. So why should we worship the Lord? Some people, the impersonalists, think that I am the Lord. Why should I worship God? I am God. Everyone should worship me. And that's why we're here in this world, because we're thinking everyone should worship me. And we're thinking, we wake up in the morning and we think, okay, how will my day be today? We are the center. We are the center. But the devotee knows that everything is the property of the Lord, and he's very grateful. He offers out of a sense of gratitude. He gets up in the morning, thank you for giving me another day, another opportunity to serve you, to perfect my human form of life, to go back to Godhead, back to home. So one reason to offer and sacrifice to the Lord is out of gratitude. When we chant also, we can chant out of gratitude to the Lord. That thank you. There's a prayer by Lord Chaitanya that by chanting we clean our heart. Thank you for cleaning my heart. And also by chanting, the fire of material life is extinguished. Thank you for extinguishing the fire of material existence. So many reasons why we should be grateful. So why should we offer to Krishna? He's not hungry, is he? He's not poor. He's got everything. Why? Because he's not looking for our things so much. He's looking for our love. That's what we're holding back. And so that's what we need to offer to Krishna. He says, if you offer me a leaf, a flower, fruit, and water out of love, then I will accept it. So the devotees understand that they give out of love. There is one example of when Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, there was one very, very poor Brahmin who went to visit Krishna. He was so poor he had nothing to offer, but he borrowed from his neighbors some chira, some chipped rice, which was very poor quality. And he wrapped it in his cloth and he brought it to Krishna. And while he was there, his wife forced him to go because they were so poor. She said, you asked him for a donation. He's got everything. He'll give you certainly something. And he was so poor, and he was in rags, and he was very thin, and his bones were showing. You know, he looked like these victims of drought or something. He looked very, very poor. But when he came to Krishna, Krishna embraced him and seated him on his bed and was fanning him and feeding him and offering arti. Said, oh, you are a Brahmin, I must worship you. You are my old friend. And he gave and then he saw, what did you bring for me? And he grabbed this little rice and he popped it in his mouth. And he wanted more, and Rukmini, his wife, stopped him and said, no, how much you have taken, that's enough to make this man so rich. I have to live in his house now, because she was Lakshmi. She's Lakshmi, goddess of fortune. So if you worship Krishna, if you give everything to Krishna, Lakshmi must stay in your house. You must have everything. So there are 4 things, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4 things you can give to Krishna. Pranar, artar, diya, vacha. Pranar means your life. So you can give your life to Krishna. But if you think, well, that's too much, I can't give my life, you know, I need some for myself too. That's okay. You can give some money, arta, give a donation. And you think, well, yeah, that's also, you know, I don't have money. That's too much. Okay, next thing is your diya, your intelligence. You can give your intelligence. How to organize, how to manage, how to spread the movement, how to make festivals. You can do that. You think, well, I'm not very intelligent. There's still one more thing left. Vacha, you can give your words. You can chant You can ask other people to chant. You can distribute books. You can read the books. So 4 things: your life, your money, your intelligence, and your words. So we chant Hare Krishna as a sacrifice. This is what we're giving here today. Now the preacher, he sees everything in this world belonging to Krishna. He looks at the people and he thinks, oh, they should be serving Krishna. So Prabhupada, when he went to America, he was looking at all the people and thinking, how can I preach to them? How will they listen? How can I make them listen? But he had that desire. He prayed to Krishna, you please save them. And then Prabhupada said, I desire that they be saved. So because Prabhupada had that desire, he's a pure devotee. That's why we became devotees. That's why we followed him, because of his desire. So Prabhupada had that vision. He engaged all of us. Some of us had money, some of us had no money, some of us were hippies. Others had money. Jayananda gave his savings to Prabhupada to print Nectar of Devotion. Brahmananda gave his life savings when he joined. And he was sitting with Prabhupada with a $5,000 check, and he gave it to Prabhupada. And he looked at the 3-volume set of Bhagavatam and asked Prabhupada, can I have those Bhagavatams? And Prabhupada said, that will be extra. So Brahmananda said it was harder for him to get that $16, because then he was a brahmachari in the temple, and the $5,000 which he had worked for and saved up. So Prabhupada knew how to engage us, and he was the son of a millionaire, and now he was struggling. So it's very interesting how now our Ambarish, the son of Henry Ford, the great-grandson of Henry Ford, Alfred Ford, who's from the Ford company, who makes cars. He's giving millions for the temple in Mayapur, but not only is he giving, he's going out begging, temple to temple, to get more money to build that temple. So he's a son of a billionaire, but he's out begging for Krishna. Can you imagine? Would you do that if you were a billionaire? He's really surrendered. He's going out to get money. So another reason why we should offer things to sacrifice and chant Hare Krishna is out of friendship for Krishna. In Nectar of Devotion, it's described there are 6 ways you can show your friendship with another friend, with another devotee. Offering gifts in charity, accepting gifts, revealing your mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasadam, and offering prasadam. 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So in a very, very early lecture, 1966 in New York, Srila Prabhupada said, now we have to make friendship with Krishna. Just like if you want to see somebody very great, you introduce yourself in a loving manner. So we want to go to Krishna Loka, we should prepare how to love Krishna. And we should do these 6 loving exchanges with Krishna. Give him a gift, accept a gift. Give bhoga, accept prasadam. Reveal our mind confidentially. Just like when I joined the temple in 1970, almost 50 years ago, we had a regular practice once a week. We would go up in front of the deities, one by one, and express our mind confidentially and say, this week I did this and this and this for you, and I had this problem and this obstacle, please help me. And we would ask for the blessings of the deities of Krishna to go on with our work. So we revealed our mind confidentially, and we would get answers to our prayers, and Krishna would also give us answers. And gifts to Krishna. So we have to practice how to love Krishna. Get up, and so we get up early in the morning. You don't like to, but you think, okay, I'll get up early to satisfy Krishna. Then another thing, we chant 16 rounds on our beads. And Prabhupada said, you may be lazy, you may not want to do it, but if you want to love Krishna, then you have to do it. In the beginning, we have to learn how to love Krishna, but after a while, we love him, and we don't think, oh, I must do this, I have to do this. We think, wow, I can't wait to stick my hand in my bead bag and meet Krishna today in the holy names. So it's something like developing love in our ordinary affairs, like you have girlfriend, boyfriend, we exchange gifts, exchange food. So it's like that with Krishna. He's our beloved. He's our most dear friend. He's in our heart. He's with us. He doesn't leave us. And he understands us. So there's the devotee's attitude is one of gratitude, of friendship, and of service, that I want to become one in interest with the Lord. And so the impersonalists, they remain a non-devotee forever because they don't want to accept that somebody is greater than him. But we can understand that. We have to die, we have to get old, we have to get sick. We're forced. We can't stop it. So we're not the controller. So one time in London, Srila Prabhupada was arriving at the airport, and as soon as the devotees saw Prabhupada, they just jumped on the ground and fell down, offered obeisances, and the reporters were looking. There were reporters there watching, and they were thinking, what's going on here? So first question was to Prabhupada, do you think you are God? And Prabhupada said, spiritual master should be given all respects as God. But if he thinks he's God, then he's dog. So he always thought himself servant. He never said he was God. Now that's the attitude of the devotee. So if you were to look at Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet, underneath his foot, you would find a mark which is a sacrificial altar. Now what does that mean? It means the sins of those who meditate on his feet are burned up just like on the altar of sacrifice. Another meaning is that just like the universe is nourished by Brahmanas offering fire sacrifice, those who offer their minds in sacrifice to Lord Chaitanya's feet stimulate universal nourishment. And also the last meaning, universe is the form of Krishna, the offering is the form of Radha. So when we offer something to Krishna, Radha and Krishna are united on the sacrificial altar. So we offer our mind in sacrifice by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's the best sacrifice. And we do this underneath the direction of Srimati Radharani, Devi Prakriti. Bhagavad Gita says that the Mahatmas, they are under the protection of Devi Prakriti, which is Srimati Radharani. I live in Vrindavan, and everybody worships Radharani there. You don't hear so much about Krishna. You hear more about Radharani. On every tree, her name is written, and on all the walls, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Shri Radhe. Because to perform devotional service means to follow in the footsteps of Radharani. So then, if we work under her direction, then we will attract even Krishna. But 5,000 years ago, some sages met at Naimisharanya forest, and they were discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. So they were performing a 1,000-year sacrifice, fire sacrifice at the same time. And what was their realization? They said, we've done this fire sacrifice, but all that's happening is our bodies are getting black from the smoke because we're making so many mistakes in this sacrifice. But our true happiness is coming by hearing you describe about Krishna. So in this age of Kali, our sacrifice is not of fire, but of ears, tongue, and minds in the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'll stop here if you have any questions. We can ask this time. It's Harinam night, so we'll have more Harinam. Yes?
Will you share with us how you need to meet with Srila Prabhupada?
How I met with Srila Prabhupada.
How did you meet Srila Prabhupada?
Well, first I met the devotees, and I joined the temple before I met Srila Prabhupada. But the first time I met Prabhupada was in the airport in Gainesville, Florida. And he was walking and I was walking behind him. And as soon as I walked behind Srila Prabhupada, I felt for the first time in my life, this is where I belong. Before I never felt like I belonged. I didn't belong in the school, I didn't belong in my family, I didn't belong anywhere. But then when I was walking behind Prabhupada, that's where I belong. And I felt I can do this the rest of my life. Follow behind him. Yeah, I was searching for Guru and trying many, many different gurus. But then when I met the devotees, I asked them, what's your process? And they said, chant, dance, and eat. Okay, I'll try it. And if I follow this, I asked, what can I hope to achieve? They said, if you chant, dance, and eat prasadam, you will see Krishna face to face. You will see God face to face. So my previous guru said I would become God. But after 6 months. I tried. I was not successful. So then after, I said, no, I don't want to be God, I want to see God. That would be really good. So, yeah, and then I met Prabhupada. I was with him in India mostly. We were sent to India in 1972. Prabhupada said, he asked for 50 devotees to go. We were chosen from our temple and we went with a one-way ticket. And basically I'm still there. I go out to preach, but I still live in India, in Vrindavan. Any other questions? Mm-hmm.
The question is purpose of name.
Purpose of
Chanting. So the question is that as you have alluded to, as you chant, it cleanses our heart.
Yeah.
So and scriptures also tell us that this cleansing of heart happens. It generates sapaguna that leads to bhakti. Bhakti leads to love for the Lord, and then you attain the Lord of love. So if this is the purpose of name, so my question is, can we use chanting of name for someone who is suffering, maybe physically?
Okay, can we use chant? The question is, can we use chanting of the name for somebody who is suffering? Devotees do that. They chant their Hare Krishna 16 rounds and then they chant extra and they donate. Okay, they say whatever benefit is from this chanting that I have done, please give it to that person. They do that. Brahmanas can do that. They can give their pious activities to others, the results.
That will not be considered like using name for.
No, it's okay. Because actually, when you pray for others, then that helps them in spiritual life. It helps their spiritual life. Helps them to become purified. If you donate their name, you're chanting to them, that means that they will get spiritual pious activities. There's material and there's spiritual. So spiritual activities is when you can do something for the benefit of others, like that. You can, like a lot of mothers do that for their children, who sometimes, like one time, my son and I, we were chatting on Facebook, and I said to my son, you know, it would be good if you put something into your spiritual bank account. Because he was very concerned about his material side. And he said to me, Mom, I'm not worried. I got a joint account with you. So, because it's true, whatever you do benefits your family. And 3 generations up, 3 generations down, if you are just a beginner devotee. If you're a preacher, 14 generations before, 14 generations after will get liberation. So yeah, if it's a relative, then you just do what you're doing, and that will benefit them greatly. Any other questions? Uh-huh.
How would you define enlightenment?
Pardon me?
How would you define enlightenment? So what is for you enlightenment?
What is enlightenment?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's good you asked that question. Because different people define the enlightenment in different ways. Now, if you analyze the absolute truth, there are three aspects. One is called Brahman, one is called Paramatma, and one is called Bhagavan. So the first step in enlightenment is to understand the white light, the effulgence coming from the Lord. But if you're intelligent, you'll ask the question, well, if there's a light, where is it coming from? Just like we have lights in this room. But they're not just by themselves, they're coming from a source. They're coming from these little light bulbs, and coming from the sun. So similarly, the white light is coming from somewhere. There is a source to it. And that is Krishna. It's his bodily rays, it's effulgence. So that's the first level of realization. But higher than that is to realize the Lord in the heart, which is called Paramatma. And the yogis, their perfection is to realize that Lord in the heart. They meditate on that Lord and to engage in the service of that Lord. Now for us Vaishnavas, devotees, the highest perfection of enlightenment is to be transferred to the spiritual world, where we have an eternal form, either in one of four relationships with the Lord. We can be servants and serve the Lord the whole day. We can be friends and go play with him in the fields. Or we can be his parents and take care of him. Or we can be his lovers, his wife, or his lover, and meet with him and dance with him. The friends also dance too. Mothers and fathers don't dance, but the friends and the wives and the lovers, they dance. So that is what we call enlightenment. Enlightenment means to not something that you take from the outside and put inside, but take out the garbage from inside and realize what's there. We have an eternal relationship with the Lord, with Krishna. And when we chant, it takes out all the garbage, and we rediscover who we really are. And that's what we call enlightenment, to realize who you really are eternally, spiritually. What is your spiritual nature, and what is your relationship with the Lord? That is what we call enlightenment. And then complete enlightenment is when we leave this world and don't come back and stay in the spiritual world in that relationship with Krishna. That's perfect enlightenment. We can have it in this life before we die, and it will be just in our heart. We can see like a spiritual TV. But after that we become part of the pastimes of the Lord, the spiritual world. And we don't come back to this miserable world of birth and death. Yeah, we want to get out of the cycle of karma, cycle of birth and death. No more death. Any other questions? Jai, glory to Srila Prabhupada. Tomorrow we'll hear about the mind, how it's friend or enemy. Hare Krishna. And now we will have more kirtan.